Reading.
Human achievement. Spaceflight.
Spaceflight testing.
The first living creatures in space were flies. They were sent by the USA to the edge of space in a rocket in 1947 and were recovered alive. A succession of test flights involving animals came after, including dogs, cats, monkeys, chimpanzees, guinea pigs, frogs, tortoises, rats and various fish. Unfortunately, not all came back alive.
First human spaceflights.
Russian cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin was the first man in space, and he orbited Earth on the 12th of April 1961. The first woman in space was Russian cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova on the 16th of June 1963. The first man on the moon was USA astronaut Neil Armstrong in 1969.
Spaceflight development.
Following the first flights, different space transportation systems were developed using rocket engines. One system, the US Shuttle program, ran from 1981 to 2011 and flew 135 missions, during which satellites and probes were launched.
How does a rocket engine work?
If you blow a balloon full of air, gas, then immediately let it go, the balloon will fly away from you as the gas spurts out of the opening at a very fast rate. A rocket engine for launching into space works in the same way, but on a much bigger scale, and uses fuel to make gas. 1. First, the fuels are combined in the combustion chamber. 2. A chemical reaction creates a controlled explosion. 3. The explosion produces burning gas, which is forced out of the nozzle at very high speed. 4. The energy created by the burning gas pushes the rocket upwards.
How was the shuttle launched?
The shuttle stack was made up of two solid rocket boosters, SRBs, the external tank, ET, and the orbital spacecraft. The SRBs helped the shuttle to lift off. The ET contained the fuel needed to launch into space. Fully fueled, the shuttle stack weighed 6 million kilograms, so it needed a lot of energy to take off. The orbital spacecraft had 3 main engines. These engines, combined with the SRBs, created sufficient energy to lift the shuttle off the ground and into orbit through a sequence of controlled stages. At the start of the launch sequence, 30 seconds before liftoff, the spacecraft's computers took over control. 6 seconds before liftoff, the shuttle's main engines ignited one at a time, 0.12 seconds apart, and built up to more than 90% of their maximum thrust. 3 seconds before liftoff, the main engines were in liftoff position. At the moment of liftoff, the SRBs were ignited. From this point, the launch was irreversible. The supports that held the stack to the tower were broken, and the shuttle lifted up and off the launch pad. As the shuttle rose, it turned slowly to the right and gradually took a more horizontal flight path. After 1 minute, the shuttle engines were at maximum thrust in order to maintain the liftoff. After 2 minutes of flight, the SRBs had lifted the shuttle to an altitude of 45 kilometers. They then separated from the orbiter and fuel tank. Parachutes opened out from the SRBs and they fell to the ocean, about 140 kilometers off the coast of Florida. They were recovered by the US Navy so that they could be reused for the next shuttle launch. In the final launch stage, the main engine slowed down in order to stop the shuttle from going too fast and breaking up. After slowing down, they were shut down. The ET then separated from the orbiter and re-entered the Earth's atmosphere, burning up on re-entry. The orbiter's engines then fired up to take the spacecraft into low orbit around the Earth and carry out its mission.
Future space flights.
Many nations are involved in space exploration, and astronauts from 15 different countries have visited the ISS. Every year, rockets are launched from sites around the world, undertaking experiments, researching, and carrying probes and satellites into space. By the middle of this century, thousands of new space missions will have been completed. We can only guess at what they will have achieved.
All right, this is the text that you heard about the space flights. Okay, how it works and how it flows from the Earth to the atmosphere, the starting engine, how it works and how it rises from the Earth. And this is all of the process till the plane, or this is the astronaut's plane goes out of the Earth and continues its mission. So now we will go for the questions. Everyone go with me for page 86. Okay, here we go. You have to answer these questions and try to find an answers for these questions. I'm going to give you one